I do. Let's welcome the voice of doom. Alright. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to the show. Sorry about the sound quality of the last show. It was kind of scratchy. I hope this one's better. But I ain't doing it over, so just have to take it or leave it. So I can't sleep again, so I'm going to try to bite off a little more than I can chew and do an episode. It's a little more meaty, a little more to it, so I can't diddle-dongle. I want to do it in 12 to 15 minutes because I know people really are anxious to click on stupid iguana tricks or whatever they do. So I want to talk about war today. I know that's like a stupid subject that's not relevant to today's society because, the big subjects are, transgender bathrooms and deciding whether or not we're going to teach our kids to hate each other. And those are the major issues that are being dealt with. And war is kind of secondary. It's way down there. It's not important, but I figured I'd deal with the small stuff first. So I thought I'd talk about war. And I wanted to preface it by saying that I know that the last war you were in was World War II, and we haven't technically been in a war and all that other crap. But let's just call all these bombs going off, let's just call it war in general. It's not quibble. So I'm going to try to go through the wars as I perceive them. And I'll start with before I was born, and go from there. So war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So that's it. That's about all I have to say on that. Well, I could actually expand a bit, but I have to have a little bit of, socio-economic BS with that. So the way I see it is, World War II was the last war that there was actually formal declarations of war. I don't think we declared war on Grenada. We might have. But at any rate, when you declare war formally, one nation against the other, the one thing you got to do is finish the job. And World War II, we finished it. We decided we were going to obliterate this totalitarian crap, and we did it. We blew the living crap out of them. And that's the way to fight a war, as far as I'm concerned. I'm totally anti-war, but if you're going to fight one, then just fight it very hard and then make it very short and sweet. That's just my opinion. The thing is this is another subject, but I don't think people realize it. Nobody here in this country has seen hard times. Nobody. I'm talking about systemic hard times. You don't know my life. You don't know what I've gone through. I'm not talking about individual people. Yes, people have hard times. Yes, people are sick and infirm and poor and decrepit and what have you. But as a rule, the last 3 generations have had it so easy. So easy. They've had the life of Riley. They've had everything. The only people that have seen hard times in this country are 94 and above. Those people saw hard times. You got to tip your hat to those people. Go through their depression just in time to get drafted and go get your, get your butt shot off somewhere. Freaking godforsaken island somewhere. And those people are, the greatest people. And they're, a dying breed, so what are you going to do? But I wanted to kind of preface war with that kind of statement because people just don't know how good they have it. The last 3 generations in freaking heaven. Go into your family tree and look at how many babies they had to have before they finally had one that lived. Freaking dying like crazy. They lived to be 45. Cross failures, and you don't have the FEMA coming after something bad happens, and they don't have the checks coming in the mail when the crops fail, and even before that it's even worse. Come on, think about the 1200s. Batshit. So, war's a waste of time. War's stupid. This planet is blood-soaked from time without beginning. The first Neanderthal found a pig and put it behind a fence. There's been war, at each other's throats. Let me go through a few things. I was probably about 8. Be the late 60s, maybe. We played war games when we were kids. We were in a horrible neighborhood. We were really bad people. Suburban Seattle. It was really... we were hateful. So we were playing war games. I think there was a lot of white guys. Yeah, most of us were white. I had one friend that was my best friend. He was a black guy. I know that makes me a racist, but I mentioned it. He pissed me off because he was smarter than me, and I thought I was the smartest guy in the class all the time, and it ever will be that way. And here comes this guy, and he's smarter than me. So we got into friendly rivalries, and we'd, take turns or have contests using our brains. He was a great guy. If I hadn't met him, I might have not turned out as great as I am. But he was a good guy. But we played the war games. We had very sophisticated weaponry. The problem with the war games is everybody wanted to be the good guy. So we got 5 guys there. We're all American soldiers. And he's like, oh, you guys take the right flank and you guys take the left flank. And we'll go down the middle and we'll capture all the enemy. And it's like, what enemy? It's like, the enemy. Well, there is no enemy. We're all on the same side. So that was fun for 5 minutes or so, but then we decided, let's have some enemies and make it funner. So the enemies were the Japs and the Krauts, and that's the way it was, and nobody said boo about it. Nobody even thought twice about it. That's, that was World War II. That's who the enemy was. We hadn't learned about gooks yet because Vietnam was too confusing, so it was the Japs and the Krauts, and we played our war games and did that for a summer, whatever. We got over it, did something else. Big deal. Now I'm a serial killer. Whatever. I suppose I shouldn't have said that. Sarcasm, alright? So, I'm getting older, I'm like a teenager, I'm watching this stupid-ass Vietnam War just go on and on and on. Talking to my mom, I was like, do I have to go to war? And she's like, no, because you're going to college. And I'm like, what? If I go to college, I don't have to go to war? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, all right. So I stopped worrying after that because college doesn't sound hard. So Vietnam, yeah, bit of a mess. That's the one thing that makes it very hard to even talk about war. Because these stupid-ass, these guys, tribes, one of them has their sacred cow. They both have their sacred cows, but they use them different ways. And the one tribe has their sacred cow of patriotism, and the whole thing, it's all tied in with war. It's annoying. They seem like they're reasonably intelligent. But the minute you say, let's talk about war, let's say that Vietnam wasn't the best idea in the world. That's disrespectful. What about all the soldiers that died? What about all the soldiers that were wounded in Vietnam? For you to criticize the war, you're criticizing our soldiers. That's stupid. I'm not going to get anywhere that way. It's really not. It's not going to happen because the soldiers that fight the war don't have to be linked in with the reasons we fight the war. It's you gotta agree with the war because the soldiers are there fighting it. That makes a lot of sense. It really does. So, let's just de-link these two things. Soldiers are great. I have the utmost respect for any soldier that goes anywhere. They don't even have to go to war. They can cook in the thing, or they can be soldiers during peacetime. It's great. I mean, it's fine. I wish it wasn't necessary. I really do, but it is now. So there's no sense in arguing about that. But to say, oh, you put down the Iraq War, you're putting down the soldiers that fought it. Same with the flag. I'll talk about that later. Idiocy. Morons. But we learned to be war weary after that was over. I was looking through my newspaper collection that I've been collecting since 1972. I've been collecting newspapers for like 45 years. House is getting kind of cluttered. It's a little joke I just made up. And I found a headline about one of the wars we actually won, or supposedly won. And I don't know. It's a big banner headline. I'm like, okay, here's a nice headline saying how we persevered and prevailed. And I read the date, and it's like, oh shit. It's April 30th, 1975. It's over. Troops pour into Saigon. Didn't read the fine print. That was the day that the North Vietnamese just took Vietnam, and the bloodbath began in earnest. Stupid. I mean, yeah, Vietnam was stupid, sorry. I talked to a lot of vets. They were teachers of ours and stuff and all kinds of things when they were demobbed, because I was living in Hawaii, in Honolulu, and they hired a lot of teachers that were being, whatever, demobbed. They were leaving the service. And they like needed football coaches and wrestling coaches. So they hire these vets to be coaches. It's really kind of interesting. And they had rules with the teachers, and it's like, well, you have to teach 2 classes of regular teaching in order to spend all this other time doing your coaching, and that's the way it is. So a bunch of our social studies teachers were like vets, right, from Vietnam. And it's really interesting because they all had different experiences. Their perceptions were all different. Every story was different. Some guy said, oh, I had a great time. I was driving helicopters. We were going all over the place. Sometimes we just go and, fly around, no particular reason. It's like he loved it. And the other guy's like, I was marching point in the jungle half the time, worrying that I was going to get shot any minute. And their personalities were definitely different. You can tell. You can really tell the difference. I'm already at 13 minutes. I haven't even started because I get sidetracked. I can't go through all the wars in 2 minutes. So I'm going to have to just segment it out because I ain't going to do it over. And I can't fit in the entire history of war in 15 minutes. I just try, but it'll be more sarcasm next time. It gets better. I'm going to have a lot of good stuff. I'll do it. Call it a day with this segment because I know you're bored already. I'll do another one. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good night.